I mean, you can't really contest what is supposed to be fact in terms of the Lebanese. I appreciate the fact that it's like come up with proof, which I have. I've got the proof all around me here. I've got hard copy books. I spent days looking at this because this was something that I knew from the onset. But now I've got records to that effect. I've got records to that effect which I'm willing to bring on. So I've got loads of evidence. But to say that the Lebanese were not complicit in the illicit mining trade, and not only them, but with other West African nationals, along with indigenous Sierra Leoneans and government officials and a fragile judicial system. Come on. It's so clear. Okay? And by the way, I don't know what it takes for you to understand, a system. Right, Paul, no worries. I keep losing people as well. No worries, Brother Paul. I really wanted you to make a contribution. Let me see again if I can try. I'm going to see if I can try and bring you, Paul. I really want you to make a contribution. I really want you to make a contribution. Okay? And this will be a first-time contribution. Big up, brother, for signing on, but I lost you. I had Brother Perry Sikaria, PD Sachs. Yeah, one love, bro, respect. Okay? But just lost them because we've just come on again. Wow. DSM Kamara. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you.
Very well. As usual, looking very brilliant on tape. But let me just go straight to the point. I want to welcome you. This is your first time contributed in a physical sense to the program. And I'm over the moon to hear what you've got to contribute, here to this particular forum.
Well, I joined the program very late. I was privy to Roland's contribution just now. Apparently, I totally disagree with Roland. What you were saying about it.
Absolutely.
It's fact. I don't know where what he was thinking about, or where is he looking at. But when you take the history of that country, the Lebanese, he's saying or talking about how much help or how much do they pay back. Who gets the loan from that country anyway? I mean, the corruption was so embedded there that it was, when they get those loans, there is this percentage thing they do, paying back the money or don't even pay the full amount of money and get their cut. So at the end of the day, they help with those little things to cover up. But corruption is embedded in that country. And if you take the history of that country, trust me, I will not even say, the Lebanese don't much, because it's what they're taking, the amount that they are taking out and what they are putting inside is quite different. So
absolutely.
I'm ready to even give him that fact, and I'm putting them together. When next I see him, I'll give him.
Mr. Kamara, he asked for evidence. I do a lot of research. These are all documents. This is hard copy book. Yeah, yes. This is hard copy book. And the brother, let me say it publicly. He shocked me because he even went to the extent of accusing me of being, a larger part of life in trying to discredit me and point a straight finger at me. What will I know about that process? Come on, man. But this was all in, because he was struggling very hard to try to defend the side. He left himself open. Oh, yeah. This is a fact. It's documented. And luckily, you were born in the country. You grew up in the country. So please let us know what went on in this country that you grew up in.
I don't even know where to start because it's a lot, man. It's a lot. We've been in that country all. Yeah, it's a lot. Take successive governments, from one government to the other. These are major players, in the economy, who controls everything. You're talking about the mineral resources of that country, or it's them, You know, you can't put a figure to it. You know.
Yes.
Anyway,
Even though I
but
gave him statistics.
I put my own statistics together. You know, then when I see that is up, you know, I'll send him all those notes because it's no
absolutely.
secret.
It's no secret.
I mean,
yeah.
You bring Guinea, bring Gambia, you know, into play. I mean, I don't know about how much, you know, in Guinea, but even that, you know, I totally disagree with that as well. You know, talking about yeah, I mean, I don't even know what to say because we went there when, you know, after the war. I mean, yes, you know, in terms of development and other things, yes, they were a little bit, you know, ahead because, you know, we're at war. So, but when everything, yes, when everything was normalized, you know, when we come back, even before the war, what happened? It was corruption. You know, corruption is so embedded in that country.
Corruption. The topic. Thank you.
And we don't have the structures. The structures, even when the structures, some of them are there. I mean, how much do you police, you know, those institutions? And what comes out of it at the end of the day? I mean, because the heads, you know, they've already sold the country at the time, you know, to the Lebanese.
Exactly.
You have Lebanese in government, you have Lebanese in the party, you have Lebanese in every structures of that country.
Every structure in the society. And this is something that he knows, but he's come out blindly. He left himself open, you know, blindly to defend them. And that shocked me. That shocked me because this is quite an intellectual brother. And then he start looking for excuses from abroad. Come on. Somebody has just defended me. Sister Fatmata Kamara, thank you very much. Does traveling to Liberia means that you don't study what is going on in your country? That is not an excuse to the fact of the corruption in Sierra Leone, regardless of what your country is, and so forth and so on. So most people will take, you know, a dislike, you know, for that because this is so obvious, Mr. Kamara. But anyway, the fact is, I said, and you say you just rejoining the channel, or you just joining up. I was coming from the point of a political history.
Yeah.
In the history of Sierra Leone. The theme now on corruption. So if we are talking about a political history, so I'm alluding to then and try to bring it further to the now, trying to connect the strands to the now. So if I'm talking about then, the Lebanese were heavily involved in the looting and plundering of that country. It's well documented. He's telling me, where's the proof and what have you? Look, a book written by a former minister, an insider. An insider. Yeah, and you want to deny it. And I even made it clear, 70% of the Lebanese, that's a huge number as well, were in legitimate trade. But we know that apart from the plundering and looting, the Lebanese, that 30%, was very, very, their behavior towards our local citizens, which is well documented as well, was very demeaning. They looked down on our people, insulted them. Is he going to deny that as well? Come on. These are things that we know. Are you in a bubble or something? You cannot be. But anyway, having said that, Mr. Kamara, let's continue on the path where we are. I'm talking about corruption, okay? How corruption has stopped the country, you know, from growing, both in the education sector. So what we continue to do, instead of producing quality children or students who will help the country into growth, they cannot because they're not getting the quality education, which is due to corruption. Because of corruption, the infrastructure of the country, and I'm talking about the entire shebang, my brother, which is the sewage, the electricity grid or energy, if you like, and the rest of it, bridges, blah, 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 all the things that make a country function are not really available up to level. And it's not like these things, you know, cannot happen or we don't have the resources to, but we've been deprived of them because of corruption. Don't tell me about the few people that are driving jeeps around or that have got dotted mansions. I'm talking about everyday people. I'm talking about those that live in slums, Krube, people that live in Mabela, Kanike, and what have you. People that are selling patch granates on street, you know, with packet of razors, children who's supposed to be in school. These are the people that I'm talking about, and they've been deprived because of corruption. This is what I'm talking about, Mr. Kamara. Further contribution, please, sir.
No, you're right. I mean, the resources are not there. They've all been plundered away. I mean, when you look at all the institutions there, Even the education, if you don't have genuine education in the country, how do you expect them to produce tomorrow? I mean, it's just a nation that the nation will just go down. You know, that is the problem we've had there. And when you talk about even corruption, in fact, making, a comment on the same thing Mr. Hamilton mentioned when he said, okay, we are handpicking the Lebanese. This is not about handpicking the Lebanese, bringing in South Africans, the Nigerians, and other people. No, we're talking about, the latter years here. But, when we were growing up there, we knew about the Lebanese. We don't know about these other ones. They came in later. I mean, after the war, yes, the Nigerians, they came in during the ECOMOG, and you take the South Africa. But I mean, 80% of, the foreign product there, yes, most of them were born in the country, but most of them, emigrated to that country as well. And this is where everything started. And up to now, well, you can see, I mean, it's difficult because it's so entrenched in the society that, getting corruption out of that country will take years to come, because the structures are not there. The structures are not there. I mean, when you take, the Western nations, you have structures whereby if you go into, their national coffer illicitly, you'll be prosecuted and then try to get back that money.
Thank you.
But we, I mean, it's this whole thing about brown packets, or maybe the one at the top when you steal, and by the time you get to the governor, they tell you, oh, okay, I'll deal with this. So it continues from bottom up. If we have to get rid of that, you have to start from bottom up and not even to the top. I think I will stop there for now. So I have other things to go and catch up with. But it's a very interesting discussion, and thanks for that. And thanks for giving me that platform to even, contribute.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And my thanks and appreciations, for summoning the courage, to appear, especially, to make a counter argument as opposed to the earlier, speaker. Yeah. Because this is what makes the channel to thrive. We can have dissenting views, of course. Every opinion, does matter. But then the discussion goes on. Mr. Paul Kamara, thank you so much for coming on the Den.
Thank you very much indeed, Prince.
Yeah. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
Okay, bye. So as I was saying, this is about everyday people. These are the people that we're talking about because of corruption. Yes, Mr. Hamilton, just give me 1 or 2 minutes. Let me develop something so you can respond. And Mr. Paul, let me just put you on. Mr. Hamilton is ready to respond to what you've just said. But Mr. Hamilton, like I said, 2 minutes. I'm just trying to develop, and then I will, grant you audience. Okay. So I say because of corruption, our industries have failed to thrive, and this has directly affected the quality of lives of our people. Because of corruption, you cannot have proper and quality education. Because of corruption, you cannot have quality and proper roads. Because of corruption, you cannot have quality health centers, hospitals. And all this, directly affects our people. Yes, of course, we can equally attribute these things, to the shortcomings. Mr. Mohammed Kamara, I will bring you in. I'm going to bring a brother called Roland because he wants to respond. And I promise you that you will be the next. I will bring you in. Okay? I'm just making a little bit of development. Please stand by. I will definitely bring you in because I want to hear your side of the argument. Thank you. Brother Rahim, DJ Rahim Sokinda, one of the best DJs around town. Welcome to the program. Okay? So I'm saying, although we can attribute some of these shortfalls, these shortcomings to rapid rural to urban migration, economic stagnation, depression, high unemployment, poverty, poor planning, politics, natural disasters, and the civil war. But this is no excuse because we should have made up. Funds have been available. But it all boils down, and what is at the heart of all of this is corruption. Corruption in our politics have deprived us of quality hospitals. Instead, we are depending on handouts from our international friends at the expense of taxpayers. Let me see if I can bring Brother Hamilton on. Where's Roland here? Right. Yeah, so corruption is at the very heart of all of what we are talking about. Like our Kamara, Supermed 111, definitely, and this channel definitely wants to hear your opinion. But we're just giving audience to a speaker who was on earlier. and someone came and spoke on the against or this thing, let